A very common question that I get is, should I drop my champion? There are a lot of different reasons why someone would come to want to ask that question, and I'm going to go into that in this video, as well as give my own thoughts on whether you should or shouldn't. There are two important questions to ask yourself. The first one is your lack of enjoyment from the champion stemming from the champion itself, or is it coming from your lack of progression, such as you're losing a lot of games, you're not climbing an elo, people say you suck at it, or maybe it's even something else completely outside of the game that's making it so you're not enjoying it. Second question is, are you wanting to stop playing the champion because you're focusing overly on the negatives instead of the positives? Or are you still looking at the positives as well and you're just not finding the positives enjoyable? Many people, as they play a champion a bunch, will go through multiple ways of thinking about the champion. At the start, you're focusing purely on the positives. So with Master Yi, for an example, you'll see all the damage, you'll see the montages, people dodging abilities, and it's really exciting. But as you play more, you'll start to care a lot more about CC, and you'll think, oh, I can't do anything if I get CC'd. You continue to progress more, and you start to figure out how to play around CC, when to engage, when not to engage, that kind of thing. And that applies for all different types of champions. So make sure with these questions, you're being genuine when asking yourself them and giving the answers. Make sure it's not just something where you think the grass is greener, when in reality it's all the same. You genuinely just not enjoy the champion. Some not valid reasons for wanting to drop a champion is if it's emotional. You've gone on a loss streak and you're like, I've had enough, I want to go to another champion. That's usually not a good enough reason. Your win rate. I don't care if your win rate is 10% out of 50 games. That's not a valid enough reason. It being low on a tier list, such as u.gg, op.gg, whatever you use for tier lists, skill capped, I don't care. Or the champion itself having a low win rate overall. Again, that's not a valid reason to drop the champion. Champion gets nerfed, whether it's directly or indirectly. 99% of the time, that's not going to matter. Unless it gets nerfed to the point where you can't play the champion properly. An example of this is if you were playing them in the jungle role, but they get nerfed so much that you can no longer full clear in an effective time, then that's valid. You're looking for a 1v9 champ instead of a facilitator. That's a bad reason. That just is an excuse for you not being good enough with your champion. If you're better than your opponent, it doesn't matter what champ you play, you will climb in the long run. You just gotta be patient. Don't get persuaded by content creators telling you that a champion is trash, low agency, or that another champion is busted, flavor of the month, whatever it may be. Everything that I've listed, none of these are valid. These are primarily emotional, along with others just looking for a quick fix. Now I'll get into valid reasons for wanting to drop a champion. As I said at the beginning, you've genuinely lost interest in the champion. It doesn't matter if you're playing it at strong points and you're winning a bunch of games. It doesn't matter if you're in weak points. Nothing interests you at all. You tried sticking it out, but the passion just isn't there, then yeah, that's fair. It's probably a good idea to go find another champion that you're passionate about. Maybe rework the champion. I know a lot of people had issues with that with Aurelion Sol, Aatrox. There were a bunch of different reworks where the players didn't feel like after the rework it was really the same champion they used to enjoy, and that's understandable. Something like Irelia as well, very drastic changes. Other ways to think of it rationally are if it's a very complex champion and you decide that you want to go off something simpler until you can figure out that simple champion and then come back to it. Like let's say you're playing something like Fiora and you think it's a little bit too much at the start and you want to go play something a little bit easier, maybe like a Nasus, a Jax. Not necessarily the simplest champion, but at least something more manageable. That's a perfectly valid reason, as long as you actually take the time to learn that simple champion. And the last reason is if you decided to drop the champion way in advance. For example, you said, I'm going to drop my champion when I hit diamond and I'm going to go play other roles, other champions. Of course, that's fine. It's not an emotional decision. You decided to do it. And then once you hit diamond, you're like, all right, I've achieved what I wanted to achieve and I'm going to go do other things. That's completely valid. Basically what I'm trying to get at from this video is if you're trying to improve in ranked and get better at your character or the game in general, you shouldn't be dropping champions off of a whim. There should be genuine reasons for why you want to drop it. It's not something where you're allowing your emotions to get to you. You're really thinking it through and deciding that, yes, this probably is the time to drop it.